Greetings, family. It's Empress D. How are you, family? I hope everybody is well. I want to talk about something very specific today, and I'm sure we all can relate to it. The topic of this video is going to be when people show you who they are, believe them, family. Believe them, okay? The benefit of this. Why would we benefit from believing when people show us who they are? Listen, we really shouldn't be aspiring to be surrounded by people that do not serve us. We shouldn't want to be around people that are lower vibrational in terms of their energy. And what that essentially means is that they dwell in the emotions of like fear, shame, guilt, doubt, jealousy, gluttony, greed. Them the kind of thing there. Okay? Well, you know what? Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, because if you listening here are one of those lower vibrational beings, maybe you want to be surrounded by ones that are similar to you. But I guess this message is essentially for those of us that are aspiring to be higher vibrational beings, to dwell in those higher frequency emotions. This message specifically is for you, family. When people show you who they are, believe them. I remember I went to have a meal with somebody that I know, and you know, it was our first time really having a sit-down conversation. A few minutes into the conversation, the person was saying to me, I'm not a good person. I'm really not a good person. And they kept saying it in different ways. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why are they putting themselves down like that? No, maybe they're trying not to be too boastful or braggadocious, or maybe they just need to kind of see the good in themselves, kind of thing, you know, or something of the sorts. And that was my initial thought. Now, as I further interacted with this individual, I recognized that they were telling me who they were. When people tell you who they are, believe them. My subsequent interactions with this individual really proved that they were who they said they were. I have another example. Excuse me. I actually have somebody that I've known forever. I've known them for so long. And, you know, every so often you would have these little times where you're like, oh, you're kind of like, oh, what do they mean by that? What is that? That seems a bit off. But then you kind of shake it off and brush it off. Anyway, one day they were having a conversation with me, and we were speaking about a topic that we were both like gung-ho about, in heavy agreements with, right? Me and this individual have a common contact that we both know. And in this conversation, this person that I have known forever and that I thought we were like this, they shared to me, we were talking about this perspective that we have, and they were saying to me that when they speak to this other individual that we mutually know, they don't share their perspective that they were sharing with me. They said that they kind of just keep their mouth shut and they don't let this person know how they really feel. And that was the very first moment that I was like, wait a second. This means that this individual is showing up one way when they're with me, but when they're with this individual that we mutually know, they're showing up another way. Now, from that point on, there continued to be further and further instances where this individual's mask was slipping, and eventually it fell right off the family. When people show you who they are, believe them. Now, we're in a time, family, where it's easier to see when people are being deceptive. And it's easier for us to see, especially when you're discerning, when people are not authentic and genuine. And I ascribe that to the fact that we are entering into the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing, family. Not the age of belief, which was Pisces, but the age of Aquarius is when we know. The age of Aquarius does not allow for deception anymore, family. It's harder for those that are deceptive to hold on to that mask. Now, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this kind of stuff. When people are in lower vibrational energy and lower vibrational frequency, and their behavior reflects that, I'm of the opinion now, and this is from like the last few years of really learning and studying and being and exposing myself to new information to change my consciousness and my perspective. And that is that when people are lower vibrational, there's a very high possibility that they are possessed by some kind of demonic entity. Now, I know people are like, oh, this sounds like a bunch of foolishness. I get it. But hear this, family. I've said it on many videos. Human beings can only see less than 1% of the light spectrum. And what that means is that there's so many entities and things around us. There's things around me right now that I cannot see with my naked eye. I know this to be true because I have a cat. And cats are known to see well beyond the light spectrum that humans can see. And I know that my cat sees things that I can't see. Now, if you know that, why it shouldn't be too far-fetched to believe or to know that there's certainly energies and entities around us that we cannot see. I know that when people are in those lower vibrational emotions, shame, guilt, anger, lust, greed, that they are so much more susceptible for demonic entities and spirits to enter them. These entities are parasitic in nature. They cannot function on this plane because they have no form. So they require human beings to latch on to in order to act out their deepest desires and their demonical deeds. Okay, family? This stuff is real. And when I think back about it, there's certain activities that people engage in that make them more susceptible to demonic forces, family. And again, when you're at a lower vibrational frequency, it's easier for those frequencies and negative entities and energies to latch onto you and to manipulate and control your behavior. Family, again, we are in the age of Aquarius. The planetary alignments that are happening in our solar system are giving way to clearer vision, especially if you're discerning, family. I know that right now we're in a very unique time. Neptune, that's the farthest planet away from the sun. And it moves a lot slower than the planets that are closer to the sun. I think it takes about 14 years for Neptune to move from one astrological constellation to another. And I think for the planet of Neptune to take a whole rotation around all of the different zodiac signs it's 14 years for one sign to get to another sign. So it's like around 160, 170 years, family, for Neptune to go into each different sign. So what that means is that we are entering a time where nobody on this planet has lived through, right, family? Because if people lived it less than 100 years, then that means there's nobody alive right now that saw Neptune in the sign that it's in right now. I hope that makes sense, family. And I'm no astrologer, but I know that Neptune is a significant planet for evoking changes. And so when you think about it, it's a huge change that comes when Neptune moves to another sign, if that makes sense. And I bring all this up to say that the energies that are emitted onto our planet right now are very unique and very significant. I am no astrologer, but I tune into a lot of them. And I'm trying to learn it myself as I say all the time. Millionaires do not study astrology, billionaires do, okay? And I know that they move according to the energies on the planet, and it makes it easier to achieve goals and easier to avoid it. You know, you just kind of work with the rhythm and of the universe, right, family? But my whole point is, we are in an age where those deceptive individuals are not going to get away with it anymore. Especially if you are working on yourself every day, focusing on living with love and compassion, focusing on being genuine and kind and grateful, your discernment is high. And these deceptive entities will not get over on you anymore, family. Something else that I know that will expose an individual for who they are, and when they expose themselves, believe them, family, is if somebody is going through a hard time, you will get to see who they really are, family. Again, and alternatively, if somebody's going through a really good time and they're really high up and on it, you're going to see who they really are as well, family. They say that when somebody has an abundance of money, it sometimes changes people, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it exposes the real them, right, family? And likewise, when somebody is suffering or going through it, you get to see who the real them are, family. And on the flip side, and I can tell you this from experience, family, if you are struggling or going through a really hard time in your life, that is when you find out who people really are, okay? There are people that when they see somebody down, they may not express it, but inside they're filled with delight to see that somebody is struggling and going through a hard time. And if you pay attention, you can pick up on those signs, family. At the end of the day, it's very important. The mosquitoes are starting to bite me. When people show you who they are, family, believe them, okay? So that's my message for you today, family. I'm going to finish up my walk. I just wanted to step in and say that. I thank everybody for taking the time to listen to this message. I love and I value each and every one of you. And I encourage everybody to be committed to being the best self they can be. And again, when people show you who they are, believe them, family. All right? Thank you for taking the time to listen. I love and I value you. One love.